What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Platinum Podcast. Welcome to episode 15 of the Platinum Podcast, where we talk about all things gaming, all things PlayStation, and all things trophies. I am Lewis. I'm your host. I am joined by my wonderful, as always, co-host, Joel, aka GuyFarruski on YouTube. How are you doing today, Joel?
Doing phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I love how you've always got a new word that
I try.
Raises me up, makes me more intelligent every single day. Now, guys, we have 3 people on this podcast today, and you may have noticed this already. So I'd like to introduce the man, the myth, the legend, Adam McDermott. Adam, how are you doing today?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you very much for coming on. I am a massive fan of yourself, of the Platinum journey. I imagine a lot of people who are already watching this already know who you are. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your whole, how you describe yourself as, your whole YouTube life, etc.
Oh Jesus.
Start with an easy question.
Yeah. How do you
Well, we'll start
contemplate
with
your existence in the universe?
Well, yes, exactly. Not too
YouTube channel
philosophical.
primarily focuses on games. PlayStation is my platform of choice, but I do like PC gaming as well. And one of the shows I create is Platinum Journey, where I document the highs and lows of trying to get a platinum trophy in some brilliant games.
It's almost like you've either rehearsed saying that or you've said it so many times. It's like it's just second nature to you.
Imprinted.
Yeah. I think I'm about episode 35, so it's just
35.
Easy.
I absolutely love your podcast, Adam. I love your videos. I've been watching them for like 5-6 years. I pre-warned them, guys, that I was gonna fanboy, so I'm gonna fanboy now. I've been watching them honestly for about 5 years. I would have said, like, let's name them. Let's just rattle off a few of the ones I've watched: Mega Solid 2, Bloodborne, Last of Us, Uncharted 2, Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank, Dead Space, Bioshock. That's impressive, right? I think that's all I can think of off the top of my head.
that's still a lot.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
a lot.
Exactly. And as well, I pre-warned the pair of them now that I was going to have an alcoholic beverage today. Both of them decided they weren't going to have any, so I'm going to be drinking alone, which is pretty much standard Tuesday night anyway. So,
Well, I was close. I had to do some writing after this, so I couldn't. I can start drinking and start writing at the same time, but I can't come into the writing already with a couple of drinks, because then it's just nonsense.
yeah, it's just a blur.
That's fair.
But see, this trick is, Adam, is to just make sure all your content is nonsense anyway, and then your bar is so low that you can just write whatever you want. That's what we do anyway, don't we, Joel?
That's fair.
So anyway, the point is, I'm only going to drink one beer, but I've actually the one I've picked is in tribute to you, Adam, and it is the finest of the
Guinness?
land, and it is Guinness. So
Good man.
I'm going to have a nice creamy ale as my dessert, and you can hear it open. And
No, it's not an ale; it's a stout.
yeah, same thing. That's what I meant. I'll just edit that out. No one. I'll just mic it in. So while I
Show me how you
pause,
pour it.
I've already ruined it. If I'm being honest, I don't really want to show because
to the
I've
camera.
made a mess.
Oh Jesus!
Oh
Christ.
no!
I
What
was-
is that?
I was trying to do it like on my. Oh, it's disgraceful. I was going to pour it like this. How we looking?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I was
Nice
going
and
to pour.
smooth.
While I pour
Nice and
this,
smooth.
we always talk about games we've been playing. So we'll start with Joel. So Adam, you can get an idea as to what the crack is. Joel, what games have you been playing this week?
I've been playing. You will be proud to hear Spider-Man.
Oh,
come on now.
mama.
Straighten up the glass. Straighten up the glass before you tibble it over.
There we go. That's how
There
you
we
do
go.
it with boys
Did
and
it.
girls.
What milliliter can is that? That's not 500.
No, I thought it was. It's 440.
Is only available.
I'm a disgrace.
I apologize for that.
Anyway,
That's
just
what you give toddlers. You know that.
it's this child size. That's what I asked for. I was like, can I have a children's size Guinness, please? And they're like, yeah, here you go. And I got
Okay,
lollipop
so-
free as well, so
He'll
win-win.
get too rowdy if he has too much. That's
Yeah,
why.
exactly. I'll start crying. I'm an emotional wreck. Anyway, no, Joel. What were you saying? Spider-Man.
I was Spider-Man. I've 100% in Spider-Man just for you. It's like, I think it's like the only game I went back and got the DLCs to play.
That is, Spider-Man is happy. We're all happy.
It deserves to be there.
It is. It
I
deserves
gotta
to be
say.
finished. It is a great game.
And I've also been playing Devil May Cry 5. I am still stuck on mission 3 in the hardest difficulty.
Okay,
I've been
fair.
stuck for about a week. It's still not budging. And finally, I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima. Because of your video, Adam, I'm very self-conscious of how I pronounce the word.
Yeah.
I've
think you
heard
just-
the T is silent, but not that silent. So it's kind of like a Tsushima.
Yeah, it's. I was even watching Jeff Keighley at the Game Awards struggle with
Yeah.
it, and I went, "Well, if this guy who's probably practiced it 100 times before reading it live, still is struggling, I have no chance.
Yeah, it's hard. I think we can agree that it's difficult. I think it's like, well, you need to have like that sort of, you need to have a really good understanding of the language to be able to pronounce these sort of things properly. So.
Yeah.
It's like when native English speakers try to speak Mediterranean languages and can't roll the R. That's what it kind of reminds me of.
Well, I've got I have an Irish friend. That's not you, Adam. And she's called Colleen. But it's pronounced a really difficult way. Like, so it's spelled like Colleen. No, it's not actually. In English, it's spelled Colleen, but it's spelled like C-O-L with a weird I-N.
C-O-L. Oh, Colleen.
Yeah. But apparently we just don't say it right because we pronounce like Colleen, like double, like the een, Colleen, but it's like Cullen or something similar to that effect, apparently. So.
I find that a lot with Irish names, like the way they're spelt is nothing like the way they're pronounced. Like Siobhan, I worked with a girl called Siobhan, but I didn't. I saw like it was like a piece of paper she wrote her name on or something, and I called her Siobhan. So Siobhan, are you okay? And she kind of looked at me like, "How dare you call me that?" And I'm like, "What'd I do?"
Shameful.
Yeah, Siobhan's a tricky one.
Yeah.
I mean, we have hard names to spell as well. We've got like John, David.
Now you do have John, because John with the H or no H, that's the tricky bit.
That's true. That is true.
That is true.
It's just the English language is just every language is so confusing. I can barely speak, let alone read. So sad times. Moving on, Adam. What games have you been playing this week? I mean, I feel like I probably know, but what games have you been playing? No, I'm not a stalker. Sorry, what was that?
God of War 2. The original one, back to the PS2.
Very nice.
That's the next episode of Platinum Journey. Now that I finished Ghost, I really like. It was kind of. I want to go back and see because I didn't care much for the gameplay of the new God of War. I liked the story. I liked the characters. I didn't like the combat. I didn't care for. And then going back to God of War 2, and immediately it's like putting on a nice coat that's an old time, something you've had for years, something you're comfortable with, and the gameplay is much more fun. It's kinetic. Kratos is still just a bit of a bastard, and that's okay. There's some depth, but not nearly as much as in the new games. But the moment-to-moment gameplay, I find way better.
Do you think that? So, do you think there's a reason why God of War sort of just vanished into thin air? It was basically the end of PlayStation. Was it the end of the PlayStation 2 genre era where it sort of just vanished for about 5 years, 6, 7 years?
Yeah, they did God of War Ascension, which did not sell well and had an emphasis on multiplayer. And it just bombed. And then the studio took some time working on smaller projects. I think they were assisting Giant Sparrow with something. I think they assisted that game company with something. Journey, or was Journey around 2012? I think it was. But then, they then went back to the drawing board and came up with the new God of War and knocked it out of the park.
I can't believe you don't like the combat.
Of the new one?
Yeah.
I found it stiff.
Really?
And I didn't care for the status of the enemies, their health and their stagger or their
okay with that I can agree.
I agree with that as well. Yes,
I can agree with that. Yeah.
I didn't care for any of the RPG elements.
No. I like the combat. Like I can agree with you with the health. Like I always like games that it's kind of immersion breaking when you can see like the health bar and stuff. Ghost does the same thing. Like
unless you turn on expert view in the HUD.
But then that takes off the collectibles as well, doesn't it? Like the shiny things.
It doesn't stop them being shiny, but it doesn't have an icon over them from afar.
Oh.
So when you can look around and you obviously see what looks like iron, what looks like supplies, and you run over and it still shines the object, but there's no icon above it.
Oh. Thank you, Adam. You are my
much
hero.
better way to play the game.
You are my hero.
You've been playing it wrong the whole time, Joel.
I know. I've got like 25 hours in that game, and I've been just, I'm thinking, why is this like this? Why can it not be not like this? And all it was one setting.
Yeah, don't worry. I was about 15 hours in before I figured it out.
I love immersion personally. I think for me, it's probably one of the most important things to a story-driven game. So I kind of get what you're saying about God of War with the health bars and stuff, and I think it was that little bit immersion shattering. I don't like seeing numbers on a screen personally. So like when I play RPGs and stuff, I kind of would rather just not see them and just sort of like make my way through them. So I kind of get that. So
Now I am going to give God of War another chance. I'm going to try and play it on the hardest difficulty later in the year. So I said I'd do it before the new one comes out, and then just be fully invested in learning the combat, learning the rules. Maybe that might change my mind.
Is that going to be a little Platinum Journey Plus episode?
Yep.
You heard it here first, guys. Oh, on Adam's social media platforms, probably already.
You probably heard it like months ago.
Well, I said it at the end of the God of War episode, and I like to, if I can, stick to my word.
Yeah. Word is our bond, some would say.
Mm.
Well, you did the same with Last of Us, didn't you? You did a grounded mode, Last of Us, which is a great game, to be fair. So I think these games that are so good, they do deserve to be revisited.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I found that when I was playing Spider-Man. Like, I forgot how much fun it was because I kind of just, I put it aside once I platinumed it and I just left it there, like I usually do with games. And I don't usually go back, but, the peer pressure of Lewis just kind of got to me. So I thought, if I'm going to do one, it has to be this one. And yeah, it was really fun. Like it brought back all the memories and the new suits as well. Although I didn't like a lot of them, there were like 2 or 3 which really stood out. Like the UK one is really good. Like the green, not the green, the blue that they use, the shade of blue, is just.
It's just the head to toe Union Jack, is it?
Yeah.
Sort of. It's like it's sort of like if you imagine Spider-Man's like red is like a Union Jack at the bottom. It's very patriotic.
It is. It's just the colours match really, really well.
So Adam, we love Spider-Man on this podcast. We really, I just love Spider-Man. Honestly, as you can see with my little Spider-Man with his Miami Dolphins hat on and the poster and stuff. I know you did a platinum journey of Spider-Man. Have you played the DLC?
No, I kind of was happy with how the game ended. I didn't. I know that woman with the silver hair is in the DLC, and she's a big part of it. Right? Yeah, she didn't interest me at all, so I didn't care for the DLC.
In your defense, I think the DLC was a bit. It felt like something that should have been in the actual game. To be fair, it felt like it was maybe content that was taken out and then used as DLC. So it wasn't. It was okay. Like the storyline was okay. The way they basically the 3 DLCs is like a continuous story. Mm-hmm. But it felt like it could have been in the actual game rather than extra that you pay for. I think.
I agree. I think if you loved Spider-Man like I did, it's more of the same. It's more of the combat, but it's actually a weaker story. So if you love Spider-Man, you're going to love it, which is why I do, and I'm incredibly biased towards it. I have to say that, but I don't actually think I'm missing that much. It's not like it's people criticize the new Miles Morales game for being a bit short, but still 15-hour experience. But the DLC for Spider-Man is about 5, so it's.
I would have put that as DLC.
That would be quite the task, though. It would be good DLC, though. To be fair,
it's like The Witcher. That's we also love The Witcher here. We always, I think,
I'm aware.
We talk about The Witcher
t-shirt
all the time. But I think the way they did the DLC, they basically Spider-Man should have done that. What The Witcher did, because that would have been more or less on the same line if they just kept what the DLC is now as like a storyline in the main game. And then use Miles Morales as like a DLC. Maybe put the DLC, I don't know, like a little bit more expensive than usual. But you get, because having Miles Morales as a whole game just doesn't feel right.
We haven't played it, Jules. We don't know. None of us know. Speculation at this point, people.
What about you, Lewis? What have you been playing?
What a good segue, Adam. It's almost like you've just like a pro be on screen. I have been playing Darksiders War Mastered, which is the remastering of Darksiders. And going off, have either of you played it?
Yes. No.
Okay, so Adam, I'll describe it to you and to all our viewers. It is a game where you play as one of the 4 horsemen. And this isn't a spoiler because it happens in the first 5 minutes. It's just about the battle between like hell and heaven on Earth, pretty much.
Oh, I know the setup. Yeah. I just haven't. I think I played a bit of the demo and that was it. But no further.
It's a lot like, I imagine. I've seen a lot of the old God of War, and it's that sort of gameplay. It's that sort of hack and slash, quite in depth combat for its time, and it is a really good game. And it's just it's full of like old RPG elements. So back in like 2009, when RPGs were like coming at their best, we had like Dragon Age Origins. And we had like Mass Effect, and it was like the peak of RPGs, or almost the peak. We did have Skyrim afterwards, and then The Witcher. But RPGs were hitting their stride, and this is when the game came out. So it has like all these amazing RPG elements, but also a really great combat system. So it's just highly recommend it to everybody.
It is a good one. I think out of all of them, I think so far it's the best one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've heard the third one's really good as well, but
It's okay.
yeah, okay, fair. Okay, okay, guys. So before we start getting on our main topic, we're going to talk about one little segue. So Joel loves his anime. You may know this on me, you may not. And we've started watching on a Monday night, like with the Discord group, the Discord lot. We'll start watching a new anime, and Joel's just told us to all start watching Naruto. And I've started watching it, and I am addicted to it now. So the topic is actually, what have we been watching any TV series or anything interesting that we would like to share? I'll definitely put the both of you on the spot. So I'll give you like 30 seconds to think while I just describe how good Naruto is so far. And I'm going to wing this because I have nothing prepared for this either. If you like Dragon Ball Z, it's kind of like that. You know, it's an old school anime, in fact 2002, about ninjas, which is obviously a classic topic to have anyway. And it's got, you know, the traditional anime tropes, and it's just highly addictive. So if you haven't watched it, it's a big commitment. It's like 600 episodes. So you need to be working from home minimum to be able to watch this at the moment. But if you have the time, if you have 3 years of your life to spare, then Naruto is the way to go.
Now, a big question for you, Lewis, is: are you going to watch the fillers? Because there's a lot of fillers in Naruto.
At the moment, yes, because I'm working from home at the moment, so I can sort of have it on in the background and sort of and then listen. So yeah. I can digest maybe like 5 to 10 episodes a day, to be honest, if I'm working. So we'll see. TBD.
That's fair.
That's fair. What about the pair of you? Adam, have you been watching anything of interest that you'd like to share?
Don't have much time. I think maybe like at the end of the day, put on an episode of Better Call Saul.
Okay.
That's about all.
I did enjoy Breaking Bad. See, Adam's such a busy guy. He just doesn't have time to just spend all his life watching anime, which is totally fine.
Not yet though. Once I finish the Ghost episode of Platinum Journey, I'll have like a few days off, and I'll just pig out, drink Guinness, and watch movies. Now,
I want to just change the subject because I'm an absolute maniac, and my brain thought process is so scattered. I really liked your thoughts on series, Adam. I think it's such a good addition to your channel because it feels like a prequel to the Platinum Journey.
Oh, thank you.
It feels like it's like teasing. It's like Platinum Journey's coming soon, guys.
Yeah.
Just brace yourselves and just have this little starter to get you ready, amuse-bouche, and then you can the main's coming soon.
I agree.
So
because the problem is people would say I might be gone for a month or two, and then I just get comments of, "Are you still alive? Or are you making an episode? What's going on?" So by just making that 5 to 10 minute video, or the case the last was part 2, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's not a review, and I don't give it a score. It's likes, okays, dislikes. I want to feel like you're talking to a friend of, "Hey, I play this game. Here's what I think of it."
Yeah.
And then done.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. I think it's a good way to do it. It's like your thoughts.
Like.
No, go on. No, I was just saying it's good to have it's just like instead of being like a proper thought out and scripted review, it's just your thoughts and what you like, what you don't like, what you could probably change.
Yeah.
Which there isn't much to change in Ghost, to be fair. They do a lot of it well.
Repetitive mission structure is my major complaint.
Yeah, when I saw your video of that and you raised that, I just felt like my heart sunk because I really I haven't played it yet, Adam, so it's on my backlog, but as you probably know, when you make content about reviews and stuff, they take so much time, you just can never get around them. And when you said it, I was like, oh god, that's like one of the things I just hate the most is when they make you do the same stuff all the time. Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Ubisoft.
I'm not sure if I'd recommend going for the Platinum in Ghost, but definitely play it, and the story is great. And if you feel kind of get draining, as in the last 4 hours were just kind of a checklist of me. I think I was listening to your podcast actually while doing it, getting preparation for this. I was like, well, this is just kind of dull, tedium, fox shrines.
Now it's just a podcast.
Yeah, it's like, hey, these guys are going to chat for an hour and a bit about games. That will do.
That is actually the reason why. That's why the podcast exists. I like to always think that somebody is playing a game. They're at the end stage of a platinum run, and they're thinking like, I need to do these collectibles. It's boring, and they can just listen to us waffle on about utter garbage, and just sort of eases the boredom that ever so slightly. So we did our job, Joel.
There you go. Yeah,
we've done our job. We can quit now. Let's just turn the podcast off.
Yeah, we're done.
Joel, what about yourself? Any TV series you'd like to share?
Apart from Naruto, I'm still watching Bleach. I don't know if have you ever heard of Bleach? You know what Bleach is?
Mm-hmm.
So Bleach is
No.
is like Bleach is like it's kind of like Naruto, but instead of ninjas, it's more. They're not really samurai. They're Shinigami, so they're death gods, but they use swords. So it's kind of like a samurai thing, kind of type deal. It was like back in the day when it was released, it was like one of the main, like top anime, and then it kind of just went downhill. I can see how it went downhill. Like they have a lot of fillers, like a lot of popular anime do.
Yeah, they do.
But their fillers they're weird because like Naruto will have fillers and it will be more or less in the same sort of timeline or more or less like in the same time of events. And Bleach, when they get their fillers, they'll give you like a completely new arc, which is like 20 years in the past or like 10 years in the future. Like they split one arc in half. So you're watching this, epic fight, and then the episode after that, they give you like a completely different arc, which is set like a bit after the arc that you haven't watched has finished.
So it's like
and then
ultimately
after
pointless.
gone, they go back. What was that?
So sorry. So it's like they're totally filler. Like they're completely separate to the actual story in every way.
Yeah, they change like everything, and it kind of puts you off a bit because it kind of makes you feel like, so is it over? What the hell's going on? So that's kind of putting me off a bit.
So would you recommend it or not, or would you recommend more of like a Naruto, Dragon Ball Z first?
I'd recommend Naruto and Dragon Ball Z a lot more. I think Bleach has its highs, and when it does have highs, it's got really good highs, but it cuts it off a lot. Like they kind of cut off the highs with a filler, basically. So when sort of the fights are getting the climax, or when a really important fight ends, and you want to sort of see how the story progresses, they just like they throw a filler in there, and it just ruins it, I think. I'm kind of getting to the end of it because I know there's a new season coming soon, which is they're basically going to finish it off. But I definitely recommend Naruto, Dragon Ball a lot more. I can see why it went downhill.
Fair enough. I mean, it's no One Punch Man. Let's be real. That is the best anime that exists.
No. Dude, One Punch Man is one of the best, but it's also Saitama is the character with the most plot armor.
He does. Yeah, he does.
Ever.
Have you heard of Adam?
Yeah. From my understanding, each episode is a whole lot of build up until he throws that one punch.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant every single time.
That is just... You should advertise this. You should be advertised.
Listen, folks, it's 19 minutes of a build up, and then there's one great punch, and it feels so good every time.
It does. I don't know how they do it. Everybody knows what's going to happen. Everybody knows how every single episode is going to happen. But it always looks so good when it happens.
It is beautiful. It is a work of art. Okay, we'll move on to our topic. So, the Doors podcast structure is that we talk about these games, then we talk about a trophy topic. Me and Jules dig into deep about something that only a handful of people actually care about. But today, the trophy topic, in fact, is the man who is to my top left, which is Adam McDermott. So, Adam, we're going to have a discussion about you and about what you think about Platinum trophies, because that's what the podcast is, and that's why I want to have the guests on, is because people like to hear other people's opinions as to why they game and what they think of trophies, all this juicy stuff. Okay? So we're going to talk about that. Okay? But before we do, I would just like to say one question before we do. I've just built up this topic, and then I'm going to put a filler straight in.
Bleach.
I'm going to do
What's wrong with you?
I'm going to say, before we do that, Adam, how have you been finding lockdown before we begin?
Oh,
out of nowhere, absolute Randy Orton there.
It's not hard. It's never been easier in human history to stay in touch with people.
That is true.
Back in the original influenza and pandemic, you'd have to write a letter, and hopefully they get it in time. And if you don't get it in time, you just assume they're dead. Also, we've never had more entertainment at our fingertips. I think you should not be allowed to complain about lockdown and socializing until you've finished Netflix.
That's true.
I think what really changed for me is I spent some time living in Sarajevo, which is in Bosnia, and that place for 3 years had no running water or electricity, and was bombed almost every single day and had snipers on hills shooting down at them. And they got through it.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
kind
know
of-
it's not ideal. I know we're used to certain routines of normal life, but just we're almost there, folks. Just
yeah.
take it easy.
The end is in sight. Yes,
I totally agree.
I agree as well. Joel, just to clarify, Adam, Joel lives in Jersey, which is a tiny island, Channel Island, that was one of the only parts of. Here's some facts: was one of the only parts of British land which was seized, which was taken over by the Germans in World War II. But
Yeah, it
anyway,
was, yeah.
there's no like COVID hasn't been the same there. It's been a lot more.
I can see that perfect German complexion on him.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, it's a little bit different, but I agree. No, I completely agree. I've been watching a lot of World War II documentaries, as you may be able to tell, or may not be able to tell. Good note, hasn't been too bad, because the reason why I asked is because I know you said in some of your videos that you spent a lot of time living in Europe, traveling and stuff. So obviously that's been, imagine, the biggest change for you is that you wanted to travel and you haven't been able to.
Yeah, as in, I was hoping to live in Central Europe for the year and do live streaming and stuff, but instead I'm back in my parents' house, and it's not ideal, but you know, when you see the state of the hospitals are in, having an aunt who's a nurse definitely kind of warps my perspective of she described. This is how bad it got in the local hospital. The ICU is so overrun that nurses don't have time to answer the phones. So people who are calling to ask how their grandfather's doing, how their father's doing, the nurses don't even have time to get to the phone. So they've had to bring in receptionists into the ICU, and their only job is to answer phones because the nurses in the ICU can't do it.
Wow.
I'm like, Jesus. And all I'm asking doing is like, hey, watch more Netflix and don't go hugging and kissing and licking people.
I mean, which is hard to not lick people, to be fair.
It is hard.
It's difficult.
It's difficult. But to be fair, if you're watching this and you're an emergency worker, we appreciate your struggles. Thank you. You're incredible.
You know, most governments have kind of fucked you at this point and not paying you enough.
Yes, I mean,
as governments do. I mean,
exactly. We can't turn this into the political platinum podcast, though. But yes, I can agree with you on that one, definitely. Now, Joel, do you want to fire away a question? Because you have the same notes as me, which I didn't give him until an hour ago. That's how prepared we are.
I've never done this before. Like, how do I even start? Like, honestly, like, I've not watched you for as long as Lewis has, but like when I found your channel, it was like, what have I been doing? Honestly, like, seriously, your platinum journey videos are so good, and the one that got me the most, probably because it's one of my favorite games of all time, was Bloodborne. Now, how did you find Bloodborne when you started playing Bloodborne? So
I thought I had made a huge mistake.
That's what I wanted to hear.
I thought, I know this is meant to be difficult, but if this is going to be 40 hours of getting killed by that first werewolf, I should not have told anyone I'm doing this because I don't want to do it anymore.
And then something clicked, right?
Yeah, once I realized, first of all, they do give you a weapon. You gotta explore the hunter's dream. Because when I got to the hunter's dream, I went, okay, grand, it's like a graveyard. I imagine it's like an in-between stage. And I saw the candles on a gravestone. I went, that looks interesting. Oh, press X, okay. Press X, okay. Oh, I'm back. Oh, I get it. So that was just like a little break in between the killings. I get it. But no, you're meant to explore the thing and pick up your weapons. I just went back fighting the werewolf barehanded.
I mean, that's never a good idea, to be real. Fighting animals barehanded is just as difficult, I imagine.
You sound like you've tried it.
No, I do have a little dog who tries to take me on, but I take him on. I'm 10 times his weight, though.
So what would you think was your... It's hard to say like favorite, because if you enjoyed the game, there's a lot of like really good moments. But when do you think was like your point where like things started clicking? When, because I imagine like myself, you basically struggle through the first few bosses, especially the first two. For me, were probably the worst bosses in the whole game. And then I clicked with the game quite late. I'd say just after halfway, but like something just sort of clicked and I just started playing well. Was that the same for you, or did you like see yourself progressively getting better?
It clicked with me earlier than that. It clicked with me once I realized I'm not meant to finish the whole level in one go. I'm meant to go kill some enemies, get blood echoes, go to the hunter's dream, upgrade, and then go back, kill enemies, go a little bit further in the level, upgrade, go a little further in the level, upgrade. And once I figured that out, the satisfaction of going from meeting an enemy and not knowing his patterns to then meeting him for the fourth time and going, oh yeah, dodge, slice, slice, on I go. Sidestep, slice, okay, wind up. It's the rhythm of it was pretty good for me at that point, and I found the bosses interesting more than, well, yeah, the main game bosses were just fun and different than what I'm used to.
I agree. So
Joe's eyes always light up whenever he talks to somebody about a Soulsborne game. He's like so mesmerized.
Especially Bloodborne. It's just so good.
Well, I liked seeing the health bar at the very bottom of the screen, and when I did a strike, it took off like, I went, all right, it's this type of game. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to be here for 2 hours. At least.
Yeah.
So our friend Lewis, he's going to start playing Bloodborne very soon.
I've got it.
And I can feel his nervousness. So as a veteran Bloodborne player, which you are, because you've platinumed the game, and by no means it's easy, especially the Chalice dungeons. Not only are they tedious, but they are hard. You get like the cursed, where it chops your health down to half. That for me was probably one of my biggest walls in platinuming the game. So as someone who has gone through those struggles as well, what would probably be your advice for our friend Lewis here, who's never played a Dark Souls
Bestow your wisdom onto me, Adam.
When you die the first time and go to the Hunter's Dream, pick up the weapon.
Yeah, got that one.
They're on the stairs right in front of you.
That's the main advice.
That's good advice.
Don't spend 3 hours wandering around trying to punch all the enemies to death with your fists. That's the
I'm
main
sure
advice.
somebody has done it.
Oh, I didn't even know what. Oh, also sprint is holding down circle.
Yes.
That took me way too long to figure out.
That's actually probably my fear of the game is I feel like it's going to go, okay, you're about to play the hardest game you've ever played. Here's a controller. I'm not going to tell you how to play. Bye. I'm just going to like sitting there with the controller in my hand like, how do I even jump? Oh, you can't jump. Great.
You can, but you kind of can, but you have to be running first, and then you can jump.
All these secrets. I'm gonna segue the conversation very subtly, and by subtly I mean really clearly, and we're gonna move to Platinum Journey. Back to Platinum Journey. Adam, what made you start it? What made you start your YouTube channel and start creating the Platinum Journey?
Well, the YouTube channel was made a long time ago. I think 2007. Pottering about, and then I was making highlight videos of NFL. Then I got hit with about 9 copyright strikes. That wasn't great. And then I transitioned to gaming and doing Let's Plays, and kind of built up, doing Let's Plays, and then a step above that would be doing a video review, and then a step up of that would be, hey, being on camera and presenting. A step above that is doing a video essay, and then it became just a gradual increase of trying to do something big and worthwhile. And thankfully, I came up with the idea when I was working in an office. Corvinelli was out in surgery. She was in her mid-40s, and lovely woman, but her 8-hour-a-day job took me 90 minutes, so I had an awful lot of time to think. And I had a notepad, and I just started scribbling stuff down. And then it was like, oh, imagine something like a Top Gear and gaming, like an Uncharted, an adventure. And then thinking of the completionist as well, of like, he had this show, and he used to have this segment called The Struggle. Like, what is it that the difference between finishing the game and going for all the achievements? Like, what's that like? I went, that's the part I'm interested in. And then also inspired by Booze Britain of all things. That's where the intro comes from. Because at the beginning of Booze Britain, the narrator always said, "Welcome to Booze Britain, where we document the highs and lows of a night out in Sheffield." And I went, yeah, that's the line.
Marvelous.
So just this amalgamation of all these different things, and eventually it kind of came together. It took a while to get there, but I'm pretty happy where it is now.
You should be.
Yeah, you should be.
It's so good.
I actually love the fact that you said that you started with Top Gear, because I never would have ever put those together. But now you said it, it totally makes sense that the video feels a little bit like it's based on Top Gear. It's like tells the story as if
I would watch. Yeah, I would watch the Top Gear specials and figure out how to do the narration. I'll go, okay, so when do you bring it in? And how is the music interplayed with, like, it's so the way it works kind of like, here's a particular segment or scene. In Top Gear, it's, the lads are in a certain area and you just have the cameras rolling, it's all live. For me, it's maybe it's a boss encounter and here's the scene. And then the question is, how do you get from that to the next thing? Now, when do you bring in music? When do you need narration? When can you just do sort of a montage? All these different things, and trying to learn from Top Gear on how they link it and don't make it dull, or a case of, and also learning from Matt and Trey Parker when they give a talk on how they make an episode of South Park, and it's important not to have and then as the interlinking. This happened and then this happened and then. You need to have a but or a therefore. This happened, therefore, like, okay, we want to get chocolate, so we went to the shop. But Stan had no money. Therefore, the boys come up with this ingenious plan that they're going to, Butters is going to sell kisses from the girls around the back of the shed. And then, therefore, it just kind of, instead of an and then, so that kind of links into it as well.
Yeah.
But it's not always possible, Platinum Journey, because sometimes there's no but. It's just stuff happened. It wasn't very difficult.
Happened to me.
But I do try to remember of not having too much of an and then, but there's got to be like a but or a problem.
That's so insightful. I'm gonna store it up here, Adam. I might have to, if I ever write a story-driven thing, because I'm gonna do like a condensed, like I'm gonna record 5 hours of playing Bloodborne. I'm gonna do it condensed in like 30 minutes. And I think I'm gonna keep that in mind when I'm editing the jumps as to how it happened.
So basically, just like
now, there's nothing wrong with, like, if you're doing light entertainment and you're doing just here's a highlights of all the fun bits. People like that, and it's a great kind of relief and stress relief. I've watched some of those myself. I watch podcasts where there's no and then, or well, it's all and then. There's no but. There's just people telling stories.
Yeah,
so that's fun as well. But for a particular Platinum Journey, I want it to be kind of have a bit of tension at some point if possible.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, I mean, this is my understanding of your videos, Adam. So it's my interpretation. Is that they feel like complete episodes? So it's like they do feel like the need. Well, I don't know what I was going to say. They need that structure, but I haven't. Well, obviously, never seen it without that structure. But it works so well. So clearly, the way you do it is impressive, and I feel educated.
Oh, yeah. Also, another inspiration was Rooster Teeth once did a thing called the Walk to Mordor. If you ever heard of this, where they got two of their staff who were fascinated by Lord of the Rings, and they went to New Zealand, and their sole objective was start here, and we're getting to Mordor. And then that's kind of also one of the inspirations of, here's a starting point for Platinum Journey. We all know where we're going. It's the Platinum Trophy. But how we get there then is the interesting bit.
Okay.
That's good.
I'm going to try and tell my Bloodborne story now using buts and therefores. So I turned Bloodborne on, but then I realised it was really hard. Therefore, I cried.
I gave up.
I gave up. But YouTube pressured me to keep going. Therefore, I don't.
As inspiration to you, Lewis, I actually rage quit Bloodborne for 8 months. 8 months.
That's fair.
And then that 3% on my list just kept on nagging at me until one day I thought, no more. And then I rage quit again for about 3 months. And then I eventually
overcame though.
I overcame it after a year.
On that, in fact, you've given me. It's going to segue again. So going back to Platinum Journey, going on to do with completions and stuff. So obviously, you had to have been some sort of trophy hunter first, would you have said, before you started the Platinum Journey? Some sort of completionist.
No, I had 2 platinums.
Okay.
One was Madden 11, and that's just playing 2-player with yourself, and the other was Dead Space. And Dead Space was kind of one of the other inspirations of, the game masters do different things, and therefore the trophy list is fun. Right? You've got to beat the game with just the starter weapon. You've got to play on the highest difficulty. These are challenges that could be interesting to play and maybe entertaining to watch.
Which was a good gamble, I feel. So, does that mean... So, because for example, when I think of myself as a gamer, I do think I am a gamer first. I also think I'm a gamer first, but I am like a trophy hunter. So I do like to collect and finish games, because I got some stupid obsession with finishing games 100%. So if you think of how you experience games, Adam, and this is open to you as well, Joel, because I know you're a trophy hunter as well, but maybe different ways. How do you see yourself as a gamer?
If it wasn't for the show, I probably wouldn't platinum the majority of games. Only the games I really like. I probably would have platinumed all the Uncharted's.
But not Metal Gear Solid 2.
No, Jesus, not a chance. That ain't worth it. I probably wouldn't have platinumed Modern Warfare, but it was those things of, hey, I can remove myself as the person at the moment going through hell, and then also there's kind of a little producer in the back of my mind going, yeah, but Jesus, think of the great footage we're going to have to go back through. So, but I think the only game in the past year that I platinumed and I didn't make any video about it was Oxenfree, which required 6 playthroughs. And I was happy to do it. One of the playthroughs, it's kind of an adventure multi-dialogue option game.
Yes.
Beautiful art style. And one of the options is for the trophies is go through the entire game and not say a word. And that you can go through the entire game and not say a word, and somehow the story will play out. So I got to do that. So that's one of the games I would have platinumed no matter what.
So how many hours is a playthrough, more or less?
I think it's about 4 or 5.
So that's not too bad. But still, well, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, to get the platinum, you said you had to do 6 playthroughs, 8 playthroughs.
6, yeah.
6 playthroughs, so 4 hours. That's still quite a bit of time to invest.
But I didn't set out. I played it first initially on PC, loved it, even bought the soundtrack. Then I played on PS4 just for fun, and then I kind of looked at some of the the trophies and said, hey, one of the options is to get the bad ending, which requires you to be an absolute raging bitch and snarky the entire game. I went, you know what?
Love it.
I've had enough of being nice. Let me just be a horrible human being. And the moment any character says something or shows a bit of vulnerability, I want to shut them down and call them weak and pathetic. This is a nice way of playing the game.
That doesn't sound like a bad ending. That sounds like the British ending.
Yeah.
Be British.
And then it rained.
And then and we spoke about it for 4 hours. What about you, Joel? How would you describe yourself as a gamer?
I don't know anymore, It's I go through phases, I think. I went through like the initial phase of when I started playing games where I wasn't really bothered about the platinum. This was on my first old account, and it had a ton of like 3%, 4%. It was just games that I used to pick up from Blockbusters when it was still open, rent a few games out, try them. I wouldn't like it, or I wouldn't have the patience to go through it, and then I'd just leave it and trade them on for something else. Then, I don't know, I think after I got my first platinum, which was Assassin's Creed 2, I thought, this is nice. This is nice. I've done everything I could in this game. This is it feels right. It feels good.
Even after all those feathers.
Yeah, I enjoyed collecting the feathers. It was probably the first game that I actually went and did like everything I could. So it didn't feel tedious at the time. It was like it was like a virgin. I was like a virgin. I was like, oh, this is fun. And then I started doing it more and more until eventually I started getting addicted. And then eventually those percentages started bothering me. But I thought,
oh no,
I cannot go back and try and platinum all these games now. There's way too many. And there are actually some of them that were like near impossible. Like Metal Gear Solid 4 was one of them, and I did not have the dedication. Like, I seriously applaud people who have done it because it's incredibly difficult and skill-based as well. And I just didn't have the energy. So I just created a new account, which is the one I have now. And I try and platinum every game that I play. Sometimes I don't have the patience if it's too tedious or too grindy, I don't. Then I went through a phase where I had to have more platinums than my friend. So I played a load of easy platinums.
This was last year as well. He's he's 28, just so you know.
I bought all these easy games to platinum. So if you go through my list, you'll see a big phase where it's just such grubby, easy platinums. It's just you just have to play them. And then I went back to the phase where I wanted to platinum hard games, and I think that's where I'm at now, where I like the challenge. I'm a bit of a I like pushing myself.
You're going for Devil May Cry 5 now. Adam, have you seen the trophy list for Devil May Cry 5 or not?
Yeah, it's kind of absurd.
It's kind of
understand what you're doing with yourself, Joel.
Yeah, it's probably the top 5 hardest platinum trophies on the PlayStation 4. Maybe top 10. I mean, there's always these weird obscure games that take 8,000 hours, but in terms of mainstream games, it is one of the hardest. And to have it is no mean is a mean. Well, no mean feat. That's the right term, probably.
Now,
it is.
who do you show off these trophies to?
People who don't care usually. Like,
he's
I'll
telling
say,
you,
like,
he said he was gonna
look
get
at my Dark Souls collection, and people like, that was Dark Souls. You know,
Who
so
are
it's
you?
like, yeah, it's like, who are you? It's like random people in the street. Look at this collection.
Yeah, he likes to tell old ladies at the bus stop about his platinum trophies.
I don't know. It's just become an obsession now. I think, and I think as time has gone on, and I think as I've started to do these new series of like reviewing platinums, I can see these lists, and there's these people who are more dedicated than me, who have more hard trophies than me, and it kind of bothers me a bit.
You want to be the best,
So I want to be the best,
better than
like,
all the rest.
yeah, I want to catch them all.
Catch 'em all.
Well, I mean, platinum them all.
Platinum them all.
That's fair enough. Of all things you could do with your spare time,
It's
hunting platinum trophies is far from the worst.
yeah. I mean, like third worst thing you can do with your time.
Yeah. No pokers and blow involved, you're A-okay.
Yeah, exactly. So on that then, since we're on the topic of difficult trophies,
I thought you said since you're on the topic of hookers
I was
and blow.
I was trying to PC it, PG-13 it, and just slide on to back on track trophies. Adam, can you think of one of the hardest platinum trophy that you've earned?
It's a three-way tie between
Triple threat.
Modern Warfare, Shovel Knight, and Metal Gear Solid 2. Because at points in all those three, I thought, this is not possible. I don't have the skills for it. And then just probably because the camera's rolling, I kept at it. But yeah, those three.
I remember watching your Modern Warfare a while ago. It must have been a couple of years ago you did that. And I remember you struggling with a Mile High Club sort of thing in the plane. I think I didn't think it was that hard. I haven't played it. No, I haven't played it, but I thought it was difficult. But I didn't realize it was actually that hard. So for you to say it's as hard as Metal Gear Solid 2, that is very interesting, because I thought Metal Gear Solid 2, after what you said about it, and I looked at the trophy guides and stuff, and I just thought there's no way I'm touching that. You'd have to pay me a lot of money to play that game. But no.
Yeah, as in MGS2 is about 70-hour platinum. I think maybe Modern Warfare took me 50, but it's the thing of not all hours are created equal.
Yeah.
An hour spent doing silly, easy VR missions in MGS2, fine. An hour spent on veteran mode in Modern Warfare is just so... I started getting headaches.
Yeah.
Because just the bombardment of gunfire all the time and the constant stress. And I'm thinking, how did people ever go to war? How on earth did they manage not... I fully understand shell shock, because I've had 1/1000th of a virtual experience of what, it sounds horrifying.
It does.
But then doing like Mile High Club, I would play for an hour and then take a break.
Yeah.
Play for an hour, take a break. Play for an hour, take a break. And then it's just, the day is gone and you haven't progressed one bit, and it's so demoralizing.
I totally feel that. One of the hardest platinum trophies I've done is for PlayStation VR Worlds. It's the game that came free with the VR, or it was included in the bundle. And it's basically 5 different mini games, and one of them is like this game called, basically, if you imagine like 3D sort of like ping pong, but you use your head is the tennis racket. So you're like hitting back this ball, and it gets faster and faster and faster. Oh, and it was like, that's the rarest platinum trophy I have. It's like less than 1% of people have it. And I remember that it was exactly the same. It was like you were just practicing this arcade game to get a high score, and it was like you do 30 minutes and your head would be spinning because you'd have a massive headache. You've been doing this for like 30 minutes straight, and I totally get you. I remember it took about maybe only 50 hours, but it was like 10-20 hours of just playing this repetitive game over and over again, and you just think, why am I doing this to myself?
The only thought I had then when you were talking about it is just you in your living room, just like that.
I've stood up, mate. I've always stood up when I play VR. I never sit down for VR. So I'm like jumping around.
Somebody like walking in, seeing you do that, it's like, yeah, I'll leave them alone for now.
Do you know what the worst thing about VR is? That certain games that you hold swords, like Batman VR lets you do it, like Beat Saber lets you do it, the Star Wars games, and you feel like such a badass. You feel like you're holding these swords and you're like doing all these mad tricks, and then you see someone else do it and you think, you look like such a moron. I cannot believe I was doing it, like thinking I was this... I would like get these swords and pretend I was General Grievous all the time, thinking I was like a badass, but the reality was I was just the guy playing VR by himself.
Oh, I do have a question for you, Adam, and this is like, as you know, I like the hard trophies. Is there any games that you had to either give up or like looked at it and thought, I'm not even going to attempt to play it because I know I won't get the platinum?
Any game over 100 hours, I can't attempt because
Yeah.
it's 100 hours of trying to get the platinum. Then it might be, God knows how many. I'd be out of action making that one thing for probably 6 months.
Right.
In terms of games, I almost gave up. Shovel Knight was real close. Shovel Knight was
Okay.
very close to just because you've got to do the speed run and you've got to be so precise. And I already didn't like the game. I just realized it's not my type of thing. I understand how it's a great nostalgia trip for an awful lot of people who grew up in that era of the Nintendo Entertainment System, but I didn't. I grew up on Pokemon, much easier time. So
Same.
I just couldn't, like, doing the speed run and trying my absolute best and still falling short. I thought, where can I save time? It's not possible. So that was very close.
Wow.
That's exactly how I
Well
felt.
done for doing it though.
Yeah. I felt exactly the same when I did Crash Bandicoot. I just thought, like, I did Crash. Oh, I've only done Crash 3. I didn't do Crash 4. I gave up on Crash. I felt the exact same reason. So precise, so meticulous, but also like I just don't think I grew up on it, but I think it hasn't aged. I'm not a big fan of platformers. I felt the same there, definitely.
And then don't they have kind of a relic for getting a certain time and level, and then for the new one, the Insane Trilogy, they added another, like, even harder. Like it's kind of beat the developer.
Yes, but I don't think you have to do that for the trophy. But in Crash 1, 2, and 3, you only have to get a gold relic. But on Crash 4, you have to get platinum, which is like 5 seconds faster.
Yeah, it's like perfection. And you have to do it for every single level, which is crazy. And especially with this new one, because I think you can you have like special powers as well. So you don't just have to memorize the level. You have to sort of memorize when to use the powers. Things like that. It's crazy. You have to have like a stupid amount of dedication. I would go as far to say that I think Crash 4 is probably harder than Devil May Cry 5.
Well, we did like an awards for the podcast last year, Adam, and Crash 4 and Fall Guys won hardest platinum trophies of 2020. And you can sort of glitch Fall Guys a little bit, but Crash 4, you're right. It might be, you're right, Joel. It might be up there for difficulty of just how hard it is. It's well with Crash games is when you finish the game, like you unlock powers as you go on, but then when you finish the game, you've got all of the powers. So you have to basically apply all the powers to the earlier levels. So you learn them all again, completely from scratch, because you have to play them so differently.
Yeah.
So it's like it's tiresome. I credit and I respect anybody who has got those platinum trophies. They're very impressive. Very impressive.
I agree.
Moving on to a more cheerful topic then. Favorite platinum trophies. So Adam, do you have any that you thought these games are just the platinum trophy? This is the thing. I sometimes think trophies. Trophies can ruin games. Like they can prolong games, but they can make you feel a bit soured towards the end. Like, you know, you might play a 30-hour experience and go, that game was magic. You get to hour 50 and you think, this game is really, the trophies have really butchered the game for me. That's how I felt like with Days Gone. It was an okay game in my opinion, like 7, maybe a mid-7, but the trophies, like the DLC and stuff, was just horrendous. That made us think less of the game. So is there any games you play that you think, this trophy list has really enhanced the game?
Oxenfree and Dead Space jump to mind.
Now, Dead Space, is that a permadeath game where you get like 2 saves or something?
That's Dead Space 2 has a hardcore mode which only gives you 3 saves for the entire game while you're playing on hard difficulty. Dead Space 1, it's because of, hey, do you know you can beat the whole game with a starter weapon? And then there's a good trophy. There's some collectibles, but they're all mostly just right in front of you as you pick them up. And also, you know, the regular stuff of beat the game in the hardest difficulty, get 50 kills with a weapon that you probably didn't even use throughout the game.
Yeah.
So I think that's a trophy list that enhances the game.
Interesting.
The most scary thing for me about Dead Space is that the enemies are always random. You know, with
no, they're not.
They're not. They're scripted. Like where they pop out.
Yeah, you can learn the pattern.
Oh, well, I might play it now. Everybody's like always told me like the thing in Dead Space is like the enemies are always random. That's what makes the game so terrifying, because like the jump scares, you're not expecting it, because they always pop
No,
out.
no,
in
there's
different places.
points in Dead Space you'll walk up on a body and go, well, I know that thing's going to reanimate in just a second, so I'm going to bring up my weapon and just inch closer. Oh yeah, it's alive.
Die.
And even when you're trapped into a room and they'll come in through the walls, but you might not remember it in the chaos, but you will sort of remember, okay, so turn right, there's going to be an enemy in this general direction, and then there's going to be a guy coming from behind me. You can definitely learn the pattern.
I've been bamboozled all this time.
You've been bamboozled.
I have.
What about you, Joel? You got any? We did do this topic like in episode 2.
Yeah.
I'll throw the question to you anyway.
I'd say my proudest one is probably it's one of the generic ones. It's like between any of the Soulsborne games or Soulsborne Ekiro games and like The Witcher. I think
I haven't got that. I need to get that platinum trophy.
you do need to get that platinum trophy.
For me, actually, although I dislike part of the list, I really like the trophy list for The Last of Us 1 remastered. I don't like how Naughty Dog throw hundreds of collectibles your way. I think it's a really artificial, superficial way of extending the life of a game. But Last of Us is one of the only games where it's encouraged me to play the harder difficulties, and I've really enjoyed the harder difficulties. Like The Last of Us Ungrounded is such a good experience. It really feels like a horror survival game, whereas like medium, when you've got you have so much ammunition, you can like shotgun people, flamethrower people. It's a completely different game. Yeah. I think it's almost to the point where it's like playing 2 different games, and I would never experience that if it wasn't for the trophy list in that game.
Yeah, I can't play The Last of Us not ungrounded anymore because the HUD. I don't want the HUD.
That's
like
true.
you said earlier, full immersion. Now I push back on your like of the Last of Us trophy list because of the multiplayer trophies.
I see. Again, I didn't mind them. I thought the multiplayer was actually really good. So.
Is it playing 35 hours good?
That's a good point. There's a workaround though where you can play one game.
Yeah, but then
and
you
quit
ruin
2.
the game for other
That's
people.
true.
You can quit out of a match and it will count as a day, but then you're just torpedoing other people's time on the multiplayer.
That's true. But that's also sometimes the pros and cons of being a trophy hunter. Sometimes you got to just throw people under the bus, Adam. Life's harsh. All
I got
that matters
mine.
is platinum.
Fuck you.
Exactly. If you aren't gonna help me get a trophy, then I don't care. And if you are gonna help me, you can help us until you're no longer important to me. Then goodbye.
I think out of the 3 of us, I think you're the most ruthless trophy hunter. Where you're like, I just want this platinum. I don't care how I get it. I'm just gonna get it. I don't care who's in my way. You're not gonna be there for long.
Yeah, it's true. I once boosted online, Adam, for Resident Evil 6, which has it has the worst multiplayer that ever existed. And basically, I had to boost with one other guy, and it was like 30 hours of meeting up with this guy, taking turns killing each other. It was the most soul-destroying thing ever. But then also the problem was I was boosting with 2 people, and then when I got the trophies, I was kind of like, well, I've got the trophies and these 2 don't. But also I'm done now. I've just spent 30 hours of my life, so I just sort of just left them to do it themselves. It was quite shameful.
You're a bad human being, you know that.
In my defense, I told them to play with each other. I was like, guys, I'm out. I've got it. You 2 can do it together. So I'm out. So I did justify it. And I checked the other day, and they both do have 100%. So they both did it together. So I ain't that bad.
So they continue without you. They probably realized you were the hole in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Your selfish ways.
Yes, exactly. This guy.
You remind me of those people that you invite to Bloodborne. Like if you play Bloodborne in co-op, it makes the game harder, to level things out.
Mm-hmm.
You remind me of the people that come in, but then they just stay summoned, so the game is harder for you, but they don't help you in any way, shape, or form. And
that is ultimate trolling. That is like next level being a troll. Just I'll help you. They're just standing there,
they just stand
so
there.
evilly. That I would never do that. God, you put me with a group of real evil people.
Oh, you're gonna find them playing Souls games. You're gonna find those people, or you're gonna find invaders. Invaders are always fun.
Or just turn off the multiplayer.
I mean,
you can't do that. You have to experience it. You have to experience it as a whole.
I game alone.
Game alone. The thing is with Adam is the fact that me and Joel are just borderline idiots. So we have so we struggle with these sort of things. We can't think that clever. We can't think that far into the future. We just struggle for ages. We just found out in this episode today that you can record all audio in one. after 15 weeks, after 30 weeks of making the podcast. So we're a little bit slow, a little bit slow off the mark.
I just found out you can turn off certain things in Ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
Immersion
Well,
breaking.
you have to know to look for it. It's not easy to find.
That's fair. I think I've asked all my questions. Do you have any questions I asked, Joel?
I do. The one last one. Is there a platinum trophy that you really, really want?
Or would make a great episode that you're a bit hesitant of, or something like that?
Yeah. That's a very good one, actually.
I don't know. I'm kind of happy with what I got planned for the year, so I'm good. Stuff. I'm more interested not maybe in the platinum trophy, but in playing some games.
Okay.
And the platinum trophy will be a bonus. Like revisiting God of War. This year I'll be going back to Resident Evil series, doing Resident Evil 2 at some point.
Okay.
So I've never played it before, so I'm looking forward to doing it for
Same.
the first time. And I was really looking forward to Platinum and Ghost just to play it. So
Yeah.
I don't have the time to play games for leisure. So what I do is I just fold it into the show of
Yeah.
I don't know if this will make a good episode. I'm so hesitant about the Ghost episode. It's going to be an awful lot of and then because it's such a simple
And
trophy
then.
list.
Yeah.
But I want to play the game, so I just
Mhm.
put it in the slots of here's an
Yeah.
allocation for me to play games, and technically it's work.
That is
So,
true.
no, I'm pretty happy.
I'm sure you'll be able to fit into your structure of videos, Adam. I'm sure it'll be good. I'll watch it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Dislike it.
Oh yeah. 100%.
I will say about the structure. At the structure of the Platinum Journey, there is an awful lot of leeway because
Okay.
I don't want each episode to feel the same. Like
Hmm.
the introduction of the trophies of like here's the trophies I'm going to try to get, but after that,
Free for all.
anything's fair game. I don't want to have any regimented formulaic way of making the episode because then it just gets boring for me to make.
Have you ever made a video that's been too long and you've had to like really cut it down? Because they do vary in
Yeah.
length, don't they? Sometimes they're like 25, sometimes
Yeah,
they're
I
like
think-
45.
The last was part 2's episode was initially 55 minutes and I cut it down to 44.
How dare you? That's 11
Oh.
minutes of joy we could have had of extra Adam.
Yeah, but I always view it as I'd rather someone finish the video and go, it's over, rather than bring up the mouse and go, when is this thing over? It keeps going on.
I get that.
The other ones, the Pokemon Gold was initially an hour 20 and I cut it down to an hour because it was like I was getting tired of going through it. See, I think most episodes end up being trimmed by about 10 to 15%.
Yeah, that makes sense. I totally get that. As someone who does make videos as well, you do find that like sometimes I mean when I watch my own stuff, I would say I cut mine down by about 15 to 20% because sometimes I feel like I waffle too much sometimes. I think this could not be here and it wouldn't affect the video at all. So I totally get that, to be fair. I was only joking before.
No, you're fine.
Okay, we've got time.
I've had people tell me of when I told them about the Metal Gear Solid 2 episode and how big it was. I've had some say, "Oh no, I'd definitely watch an hour-long Platinum Journey."
I mean, I
I'm
would.
like, yeah, but I don't think it would be entertaining.
I think you'd find a way. But again, it can be like, I don't know. I imagine your videos take probably hundreds of hours to make, and sometimes I find when I'm making a video that's say 20 minutes long and I'm really editing it, like an extra 5 minutes can take me 2 more hours to make, 3 more hours to make, and it can extend the amount of time it takes to make the videos. So you've got to factor that in as well, haven't you?
Yeah. As in, some people don't understand that after I get the Platinum, there's also a video to make.
Yeah.
Just you got the Platinum, good. Is the episode out next week? I said, fuck no.
Yeah.
So do you just you get the Platinum, it pops up, you just sort of sit back in your chair for 1 second, reach for your can of Guinness and go, hold on, I've actually got 200 hours of my editing to do now, so I best get cracking on with that.
I
I normally do a kind of I do it in a monthly cycle of I'll play one game, I'll edit one video while also playing the next game. So then by the time the next month hits, I've got all the footage for one game to go dive into it, and then I can start playing the other game. Because evenings, playing games in the evening is fine, but trying to write or script or present or edit in the evenings, I'm not so good at. So I like to do that in the morning.
I 100% agree with that as well. I mean, I don't make any videos usually on a night because it's that you need to be on your top of your game when you're in front of the camera. It is definitely it's difficult. Okay, I think we'll move on to we've got time for our gaming news topic. So Adam, me and Joe like to talk about a gaming news topic every week, and it can be anything. Last time we spoke about Cyberpunk. We'll not talk about that. We'll not start on that kind of worms, but we talked about Cyberpunk last week. So news that came out, we're a little bit late at the party, but we always are, is the fact that EA have now lost their permanent, I think that's the right term, have lost their right to be exclusive makers of Star Wars games. So now Ubisoft have managed to claim, I don't know if it's directly just a sole link, but they've managed to acquire the license to make the next Star Wars game. And I'll not say my opinion, and I'll throw it to you, Adam, before me and Joel start talking about it. Are you a fan of Star Wars? How does that make you feel, the fact that Ubisoft are going to be making the next game?
I'm not a fan of Star Wars.
That is Joel, to be fair.
I get it, but it's just I don't find the movies that interesting. I liked Revenge of the Sith. I watched it when I was about 15. I thought the lightsaber battles and music were cool.
Well, but, it's hard to like
all the
Star
recent
Wars.
movies. I don't. Sorry, go on.
I'm saying it's hard to like Star Wars movies because they're all rubbish.
Okay, fair enough.
The last three, the ones that come out.
Jedi Fallen Order was decent, from my understanding, but the worlds and the character, none of it interests me. I was happy that Jedi Fallen Order was good for fans of the game. But with Ubisoft can make good games, not all horrible individuals hell-bent on pushing out the same game over and over again. There's some talented people over there. I think they can do a good job.
I can agree. I can agree with you to a certain extent. I can agree with you that they can make good games because they have made good games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, games like Rayman and games like Assassin's Creed. Forget what it is now, but when it first came out, it was
Black Flag was good.
It was something amazing. But I think the problem with them is when they find something good that they make, they try and replicate it for too long. I think there has to be a certain point where they have to think, all right, let's just finish the series and move on to something different or, something new. And they don't. They kind of just, look at the Far Cry's. The Far Cry's, there's very little difference between all the games. Yes, they have different characters. Yes, they have different villains. But essentially, the gameplay is always the same. It's always go here, clear that. Go here, clear that. Do a story mission. Go here, clear that. Go here, kill this guy. And I think it's just a pattern that kind of needs to be broken off from.
But Far Cry is, 15 plus years old at this point?
Yeah.
So they're just getting the Star Wars license now. I'm assuming they've got a load of people on the staff of multiple studios who are huge Star Wars fans and would love the opportunity to make something real and authentic. And if you could make, maybe be back to the days of the first Assassin's Creed and how groundbreaking that was. Might do something similar for Star Wars.
I hope so.
Well,
I do hope so.
Can I all say on what you just said there, Joel, is I agree, and you know what the problem is as well, is they expand, they make the games too similar for too long, and they only change it when they either get less sales or that there's too much of a fan uproar. They don't review their games and say, well, I'm speculating, but I feel like they only change their games when they're getting so much pressure from the fans to do so. Because when Syndicate flopped, which it did, it was, Ubisoft were like, well, what's going on? It's because they've made the same game for 4 years in a row, every year, and they had to reevaluate, and they wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for fans putting pressure on. But you should really be always trying to innovate your games to be better. And I think Star Wars, for me, I think, on this podcast, Adam, we've decided that the four horsemen of the big gaming developers, which drop the ball frequently, are Ubisoft, EA, Bethesda, and now CD Projekt Red. They're the four horsemen, and I think EA are one of the worst games developers, in my opinion. And I think it's a step up, but you couldn't take a lower step because EA are like rock bottom in terms of like how they handle their IPs. And I think if I would be on board, I'm going to put it out there, I love Mandalorian, which is a Star Wars TV series. I'd be up for an open world bounty hunter game. I mean, I would be up for that. I'd probably buy that. But it's whether or not they take the formula of Assassin's Creed. And let's be real, Valhalla didn't do anything new. It sort of just repeated Odyssey, but in a Viking setting. And if they just take Valhalla and make it Star Wars, it won't be a great game. It'll be an okay game, in my opinion.
I pushed back on your thing about the fan outrage of then they change up formulas. It's all money. Well, they don't give a shit if people like the game or not. If people buy it and they buy next year's iteration, they'll keep doing it because that's what matters to the bottom line, their shareholders.
Yeah.
So vote with your wallet. If you don't like the direction the series is going, don't buy it. And if enough people don't buy it, then they'll change.
And even better on that, don't pre-order. Cyberpunk is an example of the fact that if they have enough pre-orders, they will release the game no matter the state. And if 6 million people
Yeah.
hadn't pre-ordered Cyberpunk, who knows what would have happened with that game?
So I don't pre-order, but I was speaking to some people who do, and they said the thing of, listen, I saw a game I'm interested in. I have disposable income. Some people spend their disposable income on alcohol or other nefarious adventures. I pre-order games. I see a trailer for a game I like. I pre-order it. It will arrive at my door on launch day as a kind of a little surprise of, oh yeah, cool, a new game to play. If it's great, great. If it's only okay or disappointing, no big deal. I'll play the next one. So,
well, comes down to the point that really we shouldn't be telling people what to do. So that is the main point.
you worked hard for that
Yeah.
money. Spend it however you want.
That is true. But my only flip side would be, if you want to play the best games you can, just try and maybe think that is it. Well, I can always pre-order the day before. I can always pre-order a week before. It's when you pre-order in the months before is when you maybe start off this catalyst, become the catalyst for maybe the downfall of a really big beloved game.
Yeah, it's how do you get collectively millions of people to go in one direction and protest a direction a series is heading? It's going to be a gradual. It's kind of like turning a boat in the night. It's very gradual and probably take a few years.
I mean, if it'll ever change, we'll just have to see how it goes. To be honest,
I mean,
FIFA is still the same game it's been for a decade.
That was exactly my thought. I was about to say that. Look how long it took for people to actually start realizing that FIFA has been the same game since about FIFA 12.
I don't think the majority have realized, to be honest. Yeah, I think it's still going strong.
It is still going strong, but it's. Go on.
No, the way it works with FIFA, I think it's a social thing.
Yeah.
Hey, all my friends are getting the new one, so I'll get it too. And the game is almost secondary.
Yeah. Well, PES have taken a step in the right direction. PES Pro Evolution Soccer, which is like the alternative, this year released a season update and it was only £25. So rather than give you a full new game, they've basically said, look, we know we're not adding enough to the game to justify a full price, so we're going to offer it you at half the price of a full game. And I think that is such a good step for Konami. And I mean they didn't probably do it for the goodness of the heart. They maybe thought, we can entice new players, we'll come out 2 weeks before FIFA, people might buy it. But I still think it's the right direction for those type of games.
It is, but I don't think it's coming from a position of strength. They know they're number 2 by a long distance, so they have to garner grassroots support and be fan conscious and player conscious. Whereas EA are like, well, they're going to spend 60 or 70 on it no matter what, so off we go.
Yes.
EA, I think, will always have the upper hand with football games because they have the license.
That is it. Ultimately, that is it.
License. Nobody wants to play with a team that's called something that it's not. Like, especially, I know you got like some of the official leagues and some of the official teams, but
few.
Like, and if you want to play with your favorite team and your team is in one of those leagues that aren't licensed, it's never going to be the same.
Yeah, like Manchester City are called Man Blue, Man United are called Man Red, Liverpool's called Merseyside Red, Everton's called Merseyside Blue, Newcastle, the team I support, who've just been beat today by Leeds, I believe, are called North Tyneside. It's just like, it is a bit sort of, it just takes it away. It's not the same. But I think you're right, Adam. They do have to be more fan conscious. But I suppose it's from a position of weakness. But at least it's happening. Like, I get that maybe if the shoe was on the other foot, they'd probably be exactly the same as EA. But I'm still glad it's happened.
Yeah, it's nice to see.
It is, yeah, I agree.
We just went off on a tangent here about from Ubisoft, but that's fine. We didn't have loads to say on them, to be honest.
The only thing I want from Ubisoft is another Rayman game. I've been saying this for so long.
He's been crying on his podcast.
Why can't it happen? Why?
He texted me the night.
It was so good.
Haven't Ubisoft, wasn't the Division and Division 2 really good?
I wouldn't say really.
Do we have time?
I'd say.
What have Ubisoft done that's recently, the last 5 years, that is unequivocally and objectively good?
I'd say, in my opinion, the step they made from the old Assassin's Creed formula to the new one. I prefer the new one. That's me personally. Yeah. The only thing I have against the Valhalla is I think they chose the wrong. They just chose the wrong setting. Like, we're talking about Assassin's Creed stealth. I don't know why they'd go in the direction of Vikings. Vikings have never been known in any history to be stealthy or quiet. On the contrary, they're loud and they like to know that to let their enemies know they're coming. It's just the way they are. If it was stealthy, I think they should have gone more for the Japanese approach. Ninjas.
That could have been cool.
That could have been like the perfect stealth game.
Yeah.
But
I would just like to say on Division quickly is I think the Division was a bit of a pull the wool over your eyes, just like Watch Dogs was. They promised you this really in-depth, complete game, and it just wasn't the game it was promised. You know, it was downscaled massively. It was this massive MMO, which, well, it was basically an MMO, and I just didn't think it was a game I was promised at all. And then going on to another game, is it Tom Clancy? Ghost Recon. Wildlands was okay, but is it Breakpoint? The recent one was a glitchy mess. It was like so unfinished, and you can play it to this day, and they haven't patched it. So they released this broken game in 2019. They just left it. No one bought it, so they didn't patch it. If you pick up this game today, it's still just like this absolute mess. And it's just like that's Ubisoft, in my opinion.
Which you platinum?
Which I platinumed. Because I got
well, there you go.
I got pressure to buy it. Oh well, that is. I should have just had a big H on my head. No, my friend
the game's
bought
terrible. It was a mess. I still platinumed it.
I still platinum,
but I didn't like it. Actually, my brother was like, "I'm buying this game. Okay, I want to play it with somebody. Will you play it with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And every game is always fun when you play with somebody else. So I did have a decent time, but we had a decent time laughing at how bad the game was.
I mean, the Division 2 was okay. I did play quite a lot, and again, like you said, because I had a group of like another 3 friends. We all played as a squad, so it was fun, and we did like most of the trophies. But again, there was a lot of glitches, and there were a lot of bugs, and there were a lot of game-breaking bugs.
Yeah, exactly. I think Division 2.
Most importantly for me, there was a lot of trophy-breaking bugs, and that I think that was like the last straw for me.
Yeah.
Because I spent so many hours. I did pretty much everything in the game. I completed the game, like the missions on like the highest difficulty and everything, which is like it was such a hard task to do. And then all I had left to do was do like a couple of miscellaneous missions here and there. And there's one where you have to get the bounties, which is like 8 or 11 bounties in the game, and one of them glitched on me. And to get those bounties, you have to replay the game.
That's brutal. That's soul destroying. Absolutely.
I just didn't have the dedication.
No, I'm not surprised.
That's my biggest hate is like glitches that break the game or break the completion of getting trophies.
Like, what was it? Assassin's Creed Unity, when it came out, was memed to death because of the glitches.
You know, I really like Unity as well. It was just so glitchy. I think it had a really good story. The online was actually like a good idea.
It was,
but it was just an epic fail. Such a shame.
I think with Unity they overestimated how much the game could actually process, because they did so many crowds, and it ended up breaking the game because it just couldn't process that many crowds. So they processed like this crowd of like 50 people, and then it'd go to the cutscene and you have half your face missing. The game couldn't process everything at once.
Have you seen the crowds in Hitman 3? It is absolutely sensational. You've got like 300...
I don't understand how. I don't understand.
It is insane. It's like Jules, like 300, 400 AI on the screen at once. It is absolutely mind-boggling what they've done with this game. Honestly, I mean, we're not talking about Hitman too much, but it's just I saw it and I thought that is insane, especially because it runs well on a PlayStation 4. It's not like it's
it runs on PS4 as well.
Yeah, if you buy it for PS5 at the minute, apparently. You just get the PlayStation 4 edition because the PlayStation 5 edition is not out yet, and I think you're gonna get the upgrade in a couple of months.
Yeah.
So it's like you look at it, you think how times have improved such a size scale.
Yeah, and then Cyberpunk, if you look one way and then look back, the crowd is gone.
Yeah.
That was
from the pavement.
Cyberpunk was so like were the marketing department not aware of what was going on, or were the upper management just like not caring? Or in about 10 years time there's going to be a huge expose of, okay lads, now what happened? That was just
I've seen like positive reviews, and they're like, oh, I enjoyed it, and you see the video and the frame rate is like, it's like 15 frames per second, and it's like they're turning like this and they're getting the gun and it's like bang, and you're thinking, what on earth?
It depends on what your threshold for frame drops are. Mine, I barely noticed them. Even like back in the day of GTA 4 on PS3, or even The Witcher 3 when it first came out, it didn't run great, but I know some people who've played Cyberpunk on PS4. They had a few glitches, had a few bugs, but it didn't dampen the overall experience. They still had a good time. So I understand if you follow games press and games media much closer, like we do, you'll see the trailers and what was promised and go, this isn't the game. But if you're kind of more casual observer and just saw some clips and trailers and went, this looks really cool, I'll pick it up when I can, and your expectations aren't through the roof as this is the burgeoning of the next generation of games, more than this is just a cool cyberpunk GTA style game, then I think you come into it and probably have a good time.
Yeah,
But the thing is that they set their bar so high because of how much they they sold the game. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's just like it's very rare that you see a game. Well, it's probably not as rare now, but it's still quite rare that you see a game advertised on TV. And Cyberpunk was everywhere.
it was.
Like it was on every magazine. It was on every commercial break.
I was watching NFL games, and at the ad break, here was Keanu Reeves talking to me about Cyberpunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa.
And
I was saying to Joel in the last episode, I watch a lot of football, and I saw it at a halftime for a football match, and it was actually, the advert was after PlayStation. Sony had actually pulled it from the digital store, so you couldn't even buy it on the PlayStation digital store, and they were still advertising it for like physical copies and on the Xbox. And that's when I was thinking, like they just still don't care. They just want to try and push it, even though they know it's broken. They're still trying to push it even now. It's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah.
But on that, we'll wrap things up. We've been going for a while. Adam, it's been an absolute pleasure for you to come on. I really appreciate it. Do you have any final closing statements, Your Honor?
Keep doing what you're doing, lads. I checked out quite a bit of your channel. You're consistent. You definitely have a passion for this. You've gained 2,000 plus subscribers way faster than I ever did. Keep at it, and probably you'll pass out me someday.
Wouldn't go that far, but thank you very much. Wise words, kind words. Thank you very much. So what we'll do is wrap things up, guys. What I'll do is I will put a link down below for Adam's channel. You probably come this way. You probably know who he is already. Same for Joel, down below. Thank you so much for watching this episode 15 of the Platinum Podcast. We're going nice and strong. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
And we're off the air.